Aloha, everyone. This is Jeanne Russell of Dolphin Touch Wellness Center in Kauai, Hawaii, and creator of Dolphin Energetics, where we connect with the energy and vibration of the dolphin. And we do sessions in our center on the water massage table, healing sessions, massage, Reiki, all of that. But the Dolphin Energetics is about taking people deeper into their core issues and releasing what no longer serves. We also go in the ocean. I take people in the water and release in there. We do a meditation to connect into what it is that your soul wants to release, that it's ready to let go of. And then we go in the water, we go in the ocean, we release that into the beautiful healing waters of Kauai, and then come out and get a channeled message from the Lemurians. And yeah, huge transformations happen when we do that. Couple of things. We have a new Oracle card deck coming out. It's called the Dolphin Oracle deck. And that will be coming out in a couple of weeks. So stay tuned. If you haven't joined our email list, you can go to dolphintouch.org and sign up for that and stay in touch. If you're on Kauai, definitely come and visit us, check our calendar. We have a number of meditations, activities, and different things going on all the time, health fairs, different things. So today I am blessed to have Seth Dietlin, and I actually have his Oracle card deck, that Angel's Tarot deck that he created and was kind enough to send to me, and I've been playing with them. Very beautiful. And Seth is a multidimensional channeler, certified hypnotherapist, and conscious content creator. And Seth, why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody about us? And thank you and welcome for being here.
Aloha, and thank you for having me here too. That's great. Well, first of all, aloha to all in the audience. And I just hope that this reaches you not just through your ears, but through your heart as well. That energy, that activation, because that's what we're here doing this for. So, what it is that I got called into connection with the angels a little over 20 years ago, almost 25 years ago. And I've been traveling my whole entire life since then with this interconnectivity with the angelic realm. And of course, the miracles are at a whole different scale. And it's daily, it's nonstop. And since I've been in that relationship with them, I can't remember a time that something really bad ever happened to me. And I don't mean that to be the best way to sell being consciously awake, but it is one way to see how it truly works. I mean, since then, I got one speeding ticket even. And when I went to court, it got released because there was a defect in it. But it is interesting because the miracles aren't just the normal everyday things, but they are the exquisite things. I've seen white feathers materialize out of nothing, but I've also met a mechanic for the brand of vehicle that I had when I needed to find one. So there's all different kinds of ways that miracles can show up. So miracles, manifesting, magic, whatever words you like to use, we're here to find a greater connection to source and through that co-create miracles and magic. And that includes diving into the highest levels of self through any form of exploration, through the trance state. And then recently, of course, what brought us together is a connection that I discovered or was invited into by a Lemurian timeline of underwater beings that live in a higher frequency that still exists there as part of Lemuria.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. Yeah, I love what you said about well, I think when you're in that space of, divine energy, it's like, what else is possible? You know, yeah, I mean, literally, I will just have a thought like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if blah, blah, blah. And then suddenly somebody walks in with it or has it or gifts it to me. I'm like, whoa, that is crazy. Talk about checking your thoughts. But it's just like when you're in that flow, and then there's the chicken and the egg, like, okay, did I know that was coming? That's why that thought came, or did I manifest that reality to come into me? Because yeah, which came
Yes,
first?
and it's enlivening too. It makes you feel like your real self. Anytime that comes into being, whatever it is, it makes you feel like your real self. And here's a good, solid, real world example. I know that my work is starting to take me traveling, which means that I leave a partner at home. And when I do that, of course, there's naturally this concern for someone else's well being and knowing that they're going to be taken care of and okay and all that kind of stuff. Not that they need me, but, just knowing that they're going to be safe and well. And of course, as I'm embarking on this, my partner is actually starting to notice angel numbers all the time, which has never happened before. And I know that the reason that's happening is this is the way the angels are saying, hey, we've got your back. Don't worry about this situation. Time to go out and do what you need to do. But of course, it had to come through hearing about the angel numbers that are showing up as opposed to seeing them myself. And then, like today, I got something like, I've seen these angel numbers all day long. And of course, you know,
Yes.
yeah, so it's like, okay, angels, God, that's great. I love this. And we're constantly um, aligned. So something happens when it needs to, right?
Yeah, it's so funny about the angel number story because actually that is kind of an intro to us connecting with Doreen Virtue. Um, when it, kind of started us down a path as well. Um, so my husband was working and his one of his employees said, oh my God, I keep seeing this number 444 everywhere. It's on my phone, it's on the computer, it's in the car in front of me, and it was like she just kept saying that. It was so weird. And he literally was at the bookstore, and it was like this book just kind of flew off the shelf into his hand. He opened it up and it said, do you see angel numbers? 444, 555, 666. And it was like, what? It was crazy. And so we
Yeah.
started, yeah. And we eventually got to meet Doreen and hung out and went to a couple workshops, became angel therapy practitioner and all that stuff. And it was her inspiration that got me to start creating oracle cards, because that was like, because she said, oh, it's so fun. I would love to just create oracle cards every day. That would be her passion. But it was like these angel numbers. And now the family, anytime we're somewhere and the car in front of us is 444, or we'll see it, and we'll like text each other, oh, I just saw 666 or 555 or 444. And
Yeah.
it's constant. Once you start being aware of it, you just like see it everywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, reality is alive and it's malleable and it's in a two-way communication with us always. And before we're fully aware of it, we're not. And then once we are, then it never turns off again. Everything in reality has some form of synchronicity, and it will show up in the weirdest of ways. It'll show up in ways that just where things repeat itself or names repeat itself. And you think, am I living in reality that's real, or am I living in something that's holographic? Because there are times it does reveal to us how holographic it truly is.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
totally. Totally.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll have people that say, so how did you come to Dolphin Touch? Well, I just kept seeing dolphins, and I was getting this hit to go to Hawaii. I turned on the TV and there was a show about Hawaii. I'd open the paper and there was something about Hawaii, and And, someone wears a shirt that talks to this, like, okay, I need to go to Hawaii. What happens like 3 times, you're like, okay, spirit, you're trying to tell me something. Let me
Yeah.
listen.
Yeah, even recently to that and to validate that, you know, there was this situation where, my car had kind of come to the end of its life, but I was feeling guided not to get another one. And I was driving in a rental car and I was thinking, yeah, I think I know what that is. It's because I'm about to spend more time in Hawaii doing this work. And sure enough, and I'm in Southern California, I see a Hawaii license plate pull up
Oh,
on the
yeah.
side of me. And of course, that's a rare sighting, anywhere off the islands. But
Right.
at that particular moment where it had literally been received as a download, that the reason that I wasn't being guided to get a new car to replace the car that had just died was because I would be spending a lot of time in Hawaii. And in that moment, a Hawaii license plate shows up in my reality. And things like that happen all the time when we get connected like this, for sure, which is
Yeah.
fun.
So fun. So fun. And I think it part of it, sorry, we have some roosters going off here, but that's pretty typical
Roosters on
Hawaii.
Kauai?
Yeah. A lot of wild chickens and roosters over here. But part of it too is like when we are in that zone that like it could have been happening all along, but we're just not conscious of it. We're just
Right,
seeing it. Like I know that when I'm out, I will see things that other people don't see. And
right,
I was like, do you notice that bird that's just sitting, it's getting my attention and it's got a message for us or it's sharing something with us. And,
right.
nature all the time is playing with us. Like I've done the Dolphin Energetics. I have so many stories about that, but one is I was doing the Dolphin Energetics and in the ocean, so the person is lying down, they're got pillows under their neck and under their arms. And while they're lying down, they're floating, so they're not seeing anything, right? Their eyes are closed. And all these bees started showing up in the water. Not like a ton, but like there were a couple of bees in the water. And I'm like, gee, that's kind of weird. Like in the middle of the ocean, there's some bees like floating around in the water.
Mm,
And I just like, okay, well, I don't know what that was. So then I finished the session, we come out, and I said, hey, just want to share with you, there were some bees that showed up for your session. And she said, oh my God, that's why we came to Kauai. She had just moved here and she was saying, that's why we came to Kauai. We're going to start a bee farm. My son wants to start this bee farm. And great. And it was like, well, of course, there you go. Just shows up,
yeah,
and there it is. And yeah, the synchronicities are crazy.
beautiful. Yeah.
Right. So you have a wonderful event coming up over here. I'd love to share with everyone what you have going on here that we are going to little bit participate with, help you out with.
Well, yeah, yes, we're collaborating is what we're doing, which I appreciate very much. So, and really how this came to be is through this Lemurian connection, which I think is a great way to frame this event because this particular event is it's called the quantum activation, which is in a retreat format, but it is an activation event for downloading Lemurian codes. And Lemurian codes are coming from Lemurians, like real live Lemurians in higher frequency dimension directly. And in addition to exploring Kauai, we're also going to be going through the portal to connect with the Lemurians ourselves. And so we will be able to do a lot of the activations while we're exploring and enjoying and appreciating the beautiful land on the sacred island of Kauai. And that will be intermixed with the activations. And the activation or the ability to bring this into being came through a wild set of synchronicities, speaking of which, and guidance just like that. And somehow or another, they came to us. in this way or through this channel and asked for the opportunity to meet others. Now, according to them, by the way, many of us are actually Lemurians who are presently or currently incarnated in a Lemurian body. And even though there is a story from our side of the dimensional plane that explains perhaps their demise, according to them, because of all time points meeting in one moment of all time, they also simultaneously exist in a higher frequency. And so they still do exist, and they still do exist right there around Hawaii, being one of those places where they're very active. And so the first time I saw them through the channel, they took me to where this part of this Lemurian civilization, because they're land and also underwater beings. And this was an underwater civilization. And they had informed me that, if I were to dive down in the water, I wouldn't find them because they're in a higher frequency, which was obvious to me. And that while I was down there, I could feel the noticeable lift of pressure that we feel being in this dimension where duality exists, where there's the potential for fear or quote unquote something bad to happen to us, which we had kind of talked about earlier, which is kind of getting a get out of jail free pass of that when you get into alignment. And so through guidance, they guided me to you. I found you through guidance. I found this place through guidance. We started off, we did something in on the Big Island last April or this April, and we did something in Sedona in November of last year. So it's grown and grown since then, as well as our connection. So in this case, this channeled piece of this is going to be next level. And what I'd like to say about that is that normally when we go to channeled events, which are beautiful, we get wonderful information and insight from higher frequencies that are relayed to us from a channel that's either speaking in a trance state or speaking because someone put them in a trance state. But in these, I'm being asked by them to just bring the entire audience into the trance state so that everyone is going through the portal, being transported through astral travel into direct connectivity with the Lemurians. And in this way, or this Lemurian civilization, in this way, be able to download codes. Now, since I've started doing these, there are about 7 people who have been able to accomplish their objective of quitting their corporate job and stepping into their spiritual calling. And that does seem to be one of the specialists or the specializations that this particular activation has. I mean, you can create all kinds of miracles. In the first Sedona retreat, someone went home and got a clear cancer scan. I mean, I wasn't expecting any of this, but I know that the
Nice.
energy that comes from this frequency has the power to do all this. I mean, it literally has the power to do all this. Yeah.
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. And so, in fact, I even just got a call from one of the participants that was in Hawaii and then is coming to Kauai in this retreat as well, in this activation. And she had also informed me that her last day in her corporate job is coming up in a couple weeks, and she figured out how to step into her calling, because the Lemurians are here to activate us into whatever way that we are an antenna, an amplificator, or have some form of service that we feel in us we're meant to do to move this reality into a higher frequency, which is what they've come through this portal to do for us.
Yeah, I really believe that that's why we're doing all this, not, to raise our frequency and to get closer to source, or whatever you want to call God, source,
Mhm.
energy, and the divine. And yeah, the only way to do that is to clear out that density
Yeah.
surround us. And the old paradigms just don't work anymore. The paradigms of the past, it's like, yeah, that's not working in this reality anymore. That's why all these truths are coming out and things are being exposed because that lower vibrational energy just is not going to work in this reality. It's
No.
shifting that.
Yeah, and whatever you want to call it, new earth, old earth, tastes great, less filling earth, whatever it is, the
That's cute.
I mean, originally when the angels came to me 20 plus years ago, what they referred to it as the return of heaven on earth.
Yeah.
So they called it the return of heaven on earth. And if all time points meet at the same intersection or convergence point, it makes sense that we aren't going somewhere we haven't been before, but we're actually re-emerging into something that is familiar to us. And that is why when we wake up consciously and the person that we become as we embrace our multidimensional self, it feels like the real us. It fits like a glove. And I always remind people when I take people through healing, when I take them into the trance state to do quantum healing, before we do the work, and they're in that expanded state, I say, does this feel like the real you? And they're like, yes. And it's a wonderful place to keep a snapshot because if we're ever feeling more constricted, restricted, if we're ever feeling more in compression, then we have that frame of who the real us is, which is this highly energized and expansive self. And that's the true identity of us anyway. And that's where we are able to do really anything. That's where we're unstoppable.
Yeah, absolutely. That's why I love the movie Limitless, because it really is like that. Here's a guy who's a deadbeat, and then, okay, he takes this pill and he changes. But it's kind of like that, really. Like you wake up and you look at the world differently and you see the world differently, and you're like, oh, I don't like that reality, that old corporate job, maybe, or whatever was part of your reality, or that boyfriend or husband that doesn't work in that reality, or that place where you're living shifts. And you're like, no, let's and what the dolphins have shown me so many times over and over is the empowerment. Like, so many of us feel stuck, like, nope, this is my life. I can't change it. I can't go in it. I can't quit my job. I can't move to another place. I can't drop my boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. It's like, no, I can't do it. And then suddenly you're in this altered state, and it's like, think of a pink elephant and you can't unthink about it, right? I mean, it's like you've seen it, you can't unsee it. And like what you're talking about, like you felt that person who you were in that multidimensional state. And it's like, okay, maybe you're not going to do 100 sessions with them, but once they've felt it, then they're like, they can go back to it again and again. Oh, yeah. And
And
they know they can, yeah, course adjust and like, okay, no, I'm getting off course here and I got to get back to.
yeah, well, and honestly, you caught me because that's my diabolical plan to infect the world with positive energy, which is actually just to frame that in that moment and make it last forever. And in such a way that it is the new point of measurement from where we are now, wherever that is. And we always can make our way back to the real self because it's the real us and it doesn't go anywhere except occasionally, or maybe more than occasionally, getting obscured and eclipsed by the mind. And the mind is the part that we work with in that. And I really appreciate how many like relatable references that you have easy access to in this case when you're talking about these things, because in order to really pass it on, like you said, that's what we're here to do. when I invite people to come to anything that I create like this, I tell them, by the way, if you're expecting a Kumbaya fest, you are not getting it. You're going to, I mean, and even it's funny because when people sign up for these, they
Right.
feel like they want to collapse time to get there, even when they sign up 6 or 3 weeks before, all they can do is think about the event. And
Yeah.
then they get there, and the most miraculous shift happens for them. So they would have been aware of, which is why people who come to these, they just feel an activation in their body when they hear about it. And then they come and they sign up and they participate. And they most certainly do get what they sensed was available to them, which is great. But this is the point. This is the point. We have a way that we get to expand and to discover more of our multidimensional nature. But in the meantime, we get to pass it on and create activations as well, especially if we have the ability to open up portals for people like we do with the dolphins or like we do in that multidimensional state. I have to kind of steer away from using the word hypnosis because people think of it as mind control. But
Mm,
like the way that Dolores Cannon worked with it is the same way that you just really just open people up to their higher mind. You just relax the mind
right.
and open people up so they're fully in awareness and hypnosis or some form of quantum healing. And then we go traveling. And this is where, of course, I met the Lemurians, is through the ability to travel through that multi-dimensional self that we become one with when we quiet the mind. But this is the opportunity to pass it on. And that's exactly what this is before, because when we get encoded with all of these codes that are now available to us, which are much higher frequency than what have been here before or been available to us before, when we get encoded with them, we not only become unstoppable ourselves, somehow or another, we're affecting through a domino effect the other people that we come in contact with. And, we don't necessarily have to be surprised when the feedback comes to us about some way that it's affected somebody and we didn't count on that. Of course, we didn't do it. Came through us, not from us, but that's what's exciting.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, it's not, I still get surprised. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
oh my God, yeah, like the craziness that comes through, like with the last retreat we did in Mount Shasta. Um, the woman was so enthralled with it, she just left her family, left her house in Florida and moved to Shasta because it was such a shift for her. And yeah, that kind of momentum happens when you're in these retreats because you're it's not just a session that you're getting, a one-time 1 hour session that you're doing. It's an immersion into, and especially on Kauai, this fifth dimensional energy. And then, over days, is that the transformation happens. And then, yeah, by the end of the week, or 5 days, 6 days,
Yeah.
doing it's like, oh yeah, now that you've had enough momentum, you've had enough experience in this multidimensional space that you're like, yeah, I can create anything I want, really.
Well, and it's funny because I get to move around from this guidance because of opening up this channel, and we all have access to it, which is why I teach it as well. However, interestingly enough, I got guided one day just to book a one-way ticket to the Big Island. And a few months before that, I had met someone at an event or workshop that I was doing in Southern California who said, "Did you ever think about coming to Hawaii?" I said, "Yeah, it's been in my field of awareness. It's just I'll know when it's time." She goes, "Oh, I have a place and I can see you doing events at my space." And I said, "Okay, cool." So we exchange information. And even though the connection went slightly cold, I just knew that it would resurrect whenever it was supposed to. And I got this nudge to travel to the Big Island on a specific day. Never been there. And I went one way because I didn't know how long I was going to be there. And I got 8 nights of accommodations and 21 days of rental car. And I was like, okay, where do you want me? Right? Where do you want me? And through one synchronicity leading to another, I met this huge network of other high frequency, wonderful practitioners who were able to serve in the last retreat that I did. But not only that, one person introduced me to another, they passed me on to another, they passed me on another. Those cards come in handy, by the way. People love them, gift them, and then like, oh yeah, you know. And I went to the Kona Cloud Forest Sanctuary to do a sound bath. And I was there and I looked up at the ceiling and I heard, "You're going to bring people here for a retreat." And I was like, I didn't know I was going to do retreats. Okay, great. So after the sound bath is over, the person who I had mentioned earlier who had come to my workshop, she comes out from the house. She goes, "I know you. I know you." And it was Diane from the Cloud Forest. And she had been to an event of mine, of course, in Southern California a few months before. And this was the space where she said she could see me doing work before. And of course, I just hosted that retreat that was prophesized through that inner channel just a couple months ago. And before I started even doing retreats to begin with, in that way. So I got that nudge that I was supposed to do that. And then I had this very interesting dream one night. And I was at these retreats, and it was very interesting because they weren't like retreats about me or my work, not like those kinds of things. So if we go to a retreat that's hosted by a certain figure and it's all about them and their work, it wasn't that. It was this wonderful collaboration of other practitioners. And the thing that was in common was serving the participants with this beautiful medicine where every person had a different energetic medicine to offer. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the format of my retreats. They're not coming to see Seth and work with the angels. No, they're coming for all these different things and to be truly activated. And so the Sedona retreat, it just fell into place. A friend of mine said, "Hey, my house is for sale. I need someone to watch over it. Can you come and stay in Sedona for like a month and a half or whatever?" And through that chain reaction of synchronicities, I met someone with a retreat center. I said, "Oh, I'm supposed to do this retreat. I had this dream." And then the next thing you know, the retreat came together and it was magical. The people came from out of nowhere that were supposed to be there. The practitioners came in and everything was magical for everyone that was there. And again, it was something that happened through me and not from me. But what was very interesting about all of this is that this gets pieced together and we get revealed little pieces of it. And when we're connected like that, the universe or the source does all the heavy lifting. And that's where we become capable to do things that we don't know we can do.
Yeah, totally. The way I look at source and spirit and the way it works with us is like, imagine you're driving from New York to California. It's late at night. The all you can see is your headlights shining 50 feet in front of you. You kind of know the direction you want to go, but you don't know the exact roads. And that's the way I feel spirit. Spirit will only show you the 50 feet, and then you go the next 50 feet, and then it'll show you the next. It's like, it's not going to show you the whole road
Right.
and that'd probably be boring anyway if you knew the whole path of where you're going.
True.
It's going to show you, okay, I'm going to show you this little piece. And then you get to the end, and then, okay, now we're ready to show you the next little piece and then go from
Yeah.
there. So a lot of it is on faith.
Yeah.
Faith pays, for me, faith plays a huge piece in working with spirit. I used to question, those little voices in your head, and I'm like, well, are you sure? And like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then I'd regret it. And now it's like, when I hear those little voices, I'm like, okay, yes, definitely. That's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to go to the Big Island. I'm going. I don't know what's over there. I don't know why I'm turning down this road right now. I don't know why I have to be at this location at this time.
Yeah.
I'm just going to trust. And then it's always magical.
Yeah. Imagine getting the guidance to not have a car in Southern California. I mean, and you can only do, I mean, you can only do that when you come to a level of actually having that trust, that surrender, and
Yes.
that faith pay off so many times. The minute you get the nudge, you're like, I know I got to follow this.
Yeah. So you moving to Kauai? Is that what I'm hearing?
But you know,
I
I
love
don't know what that means, but and that is the other part of it too, is not actually forecasting what it means. I mean, I know that this wide open relationship with Hawaii means that I would be spending a lot of time there on both islands, and especially hosting these wonderful opportunities, these retreats and these activations with Lemuria. And whether that means I go back and forth to Sedona or whatever I do, like you said, you don't need to see the whole
right?
thing
They're
at the
not, they're
same
not going
time.
to show you anyway.
But at least I know one thing. I do know it has something to do with being in Hawaii more often, which I am totally down with.
Yes,
Check
yes.
mark on that. Yes.
I have to say, when I watch the news and I hear like some of the crazy things going on the mainland, I'm just thankful I am here. Not that we're without problems, but yeah, it's just like love being here. So let's talk about this open portal to Lemuria that you create, because it's kind of one of my favorite subjects to talk about. And yeah, tell me a little bit more about that, how you set that up and what that feels like for you. I mean, connect with the Lemurians in my way. Everybody has a different way of connecting, so I'd love to hear how you do it.
Yeah, no, it's still mind-blowing to me how it's occurred and how I got included in this, because I'm really humbled by it, to be quite honest with you. And what happened is that there was a friend of mine who did the QHHT Dolores Cannon style regressions, and she asked me if she could practice on me. And Dolores Cannon does come to me in dreams, and she said, "You and Paulina are going to discover something really powerful when you do this." And we went into one session, and they were really powerful. So we started to do them over and over again. I don't remember which session it opened up, and I literally felt like I was pulled to this underwater civilization. And when I met the person that was there, this person said, "You simultaneously exist here with us, and you're bilocated into the body that you're in that dimension that's serving for the upgrade or the reboot." That's what I call it, as a reboot. It's taking offline the old and bringing online the new. I felt like I was at home there, and I was very happy. And then right away, I came back out, thought nothing of it. 2 days later, a friend of mine asked me to do a regression for something that she wanted to work through, and she got pulled into there as well. My jaw was dropped when she described the same exact civilization, the same exact people, what they look like, and everything. They're kind of aqua and blue colored beings, and some of them have like golden or like blonde hair, and there's a presence of a lot of love there. Didn't think anything of it. I thought that was a really interesting experience. So when I did get drawn on that angelic, you better get to Hawaii, before I did that, I did a little kind of snooping, and I found out that I would be able to connect with them at Kua Bay. So I went to Kua Bay, and I could feel them for sure. I could feel them in the water, but you're right there in Hawaii, and it's really underwater, the whole place in Hawaii. But Kua Bay has a multi-dimensional portal, which makes it easy to travel through dimensions from that. And there's many places on Kauai where you can do the same, of course, where it's Hawaii mostly is a multi-dimensional location. That's one of the things that I found out, is that when we travel to Hawaii, we're not going to the Hawaii that's on the earth. We're literally going into another reality when we go to Hawaii.
Right,
That's why
that's
it's
what
so
I
powerful.
call the fifth dimension. Like you're coming to
Yep.
the fifth dimension here. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I mean, even when you go home to another variation of the planet. That's
Mm,
what changes you. And
yeah.
that's why a lot of people have to come to Hawaii to get the calibration. And even though there is the potency to send that kind of energy in other places. So, anyway, so I go there and have this connection, and then these retreats start up. And then the person who um, went into this civilization with me, she ended up coming to the Hawaii retreat. So I took her to Kua Bay so that she could feel the multidimensional portal to them. And then we said, hey, you know what? When we get home, let's take you into regression and see if they want to talk to us. And we opened it up, and they said, thank you for picking up the phone. They said, we were reaching out to you. We were watching over you in Hawaii. We've been watching over you for a long time. We sent you to Hawaii. A lot of the things that had happened via synchronicity, they basically explained that they had orchestrated all of that. And they actually mentioned things that would check out to be quite miraculously. They told us to reach out to certain people that we had met on the island. They told us to reach out to these people. And we did. And we said, hey, by the way, we went into regression. We've been talking to these crazy underwater people who are blue with golden, or actually, no, we didn't even say that. That was the funny thing is like one of them, I said, we connected with this underwater civilization that's connected to Lemuria. And I know it's going to sound weird, but they suggested that we reach out to you. And one of the people just went to town, described them to a T, has been connected to Lemurian stuff and all that kind of stuff, filled in all the gaps. And we were pretty much everything that we've been directed to do since then has panned out to be something very miraculous. And of course, by bringing people into this close of proximity has been what's created these wonderful shifts where people are able to leave their corporate jobs and such. So we go in there, and since then I have had in meditation what is like my brother. His name is Cole. And so in this dimensional variation of myself where I live in this underwater civilization, this is a very he's like a in this civilization, we're a lot more ageless, I guess you could say.
Mm.
And we're very beautiful creatures, and we're very blue. He's a very handsome, like younger brother. And then I was like, well, how is it that I feel such a heart activation? He's like, I'm your brother. I'm your little brother. And so his name is Cole. And now that we're getting ready to create this activation retreat, he's been guiding me a lot to prepare the space for all those who are going to be invited to come in and basically open up from it.
So does he speak to you all the time, or do you have to go into channel, or
No, so I mean that's one of the things about being as open as I am. So when I started communicating with angels 20 some years ago, something happened where it just flipped on a channel. So I can be in a room that's loud and I can still hear within the multidimensional realm. So, and I can still hear very clearly. So something happened for me, and that served me with being able to communicate with the angels. And that same channel is what's open to a dragon guide that I have named Orikazi. And also then now has introduced this new guide from Lemuria who exists as my brother in this alternate reality. And you know that kind of thing might have sound weird to us several years ago, but we share this now in our circles, and it's like, wow, man, you met your
yeah,
brother in
so
Lemuria.
cool. That
Cool.
sounds so cool.
Yeah, pass the pipe, man. But so give her pass the bong back over here, right? But the thing is that so I can walk across to Trader Joe's and I'll hear from him. That's where he'll talk to me. Like anytime I have an opening, he'll speak to me.
So, like when you're doing a session for somebody, does he usually show up and assist
Usually,
you,
I'm
or
working.
it
Yeah, I'm
depends
working.
on the person?
Yeah. He's a personal guide, but I work with the angelic realm when I do the work, but I also bring the angelic realm to the client. So in addition to relaying from angels, I always start all my sessions by connecting the client directly. So it's kind of like, when you're on a Zoom call and you bring in another person. So that's the best way I could say it. I always
Mhm.
start off my sessions by bringing in this golden ball of energy, which brings the angels in direct communication with the person. And then I go about doing my work. So, um, Cole is a recent introduction, and he's just here to guide me for this new project, which also includes like a global online community and some shows that I'm going to do with regards to, I was a filmmaker. I'm a SAG-AFTRA actor, and I went to film school. And I knew that I went to film school to learn the craft of filmmaking for this space. And there's still this great big open space where I have yet to create in that area. And I'm 57 and I'm like, okay, come on, we got to get this
Yeah,
done
when
because I
is this
want to
gonna
rest
happen?
now.
Come on, I'm ready.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
We get to the space, but he's a personal guide who's guiding me through the way that I'm meant to actually be connected to Lemuria in a way of being able to do what I'm meant to do for Lemuria.
Well, I love the global connection and sharing and the community you're creating. And yeah, I think it's all about community. Dolphins are very much about community. We
Yes.
community here, and it's like the importance. That's what COVID was like. What? This, are we going backwards? Wait a minute. What? We can't talk
Mm.
to each other, and we're like big huggers here in Hawaii. And it's like, oh, I can't hug you. What the
Yeah.
heck? So yeah.
I did it anyway.
Me too. But anyway, yeah, it's like we are creating community, the importance of creating community, of sharing, and there's none of this hierarchy. That's why I love that
Yes.
it's not just about you, Seth, it's about like bringing in other healers. And the thing is that different people are going to connect with different people, like certain people might connect you, certain people might connect with me, certain people might connect with someone else, Zach. It's like we're all have something to share, and there's no like someone's better than another, whatever it is. It's like, no, we're all
And
on the same
and
plane.
that's why this is coming online now, which is exciting. So this project called the Quantum Conversation that I've been receiving ideas on for quite some time, which has to do with the films I meant to create in this space and everything. And they're just, I mean, they're literally like that point where you have the delicious something on the barbecue and you can smell it, but it's not time to take it off and eat it yet. Like that's been like that
Great
for a very
analogy.
long time. Sorry for that visual, but the
That's great.
but
I love the
this
analogy.
yeah, this project though has just been so deliciously like marinating and brewing within me. And what Cole said is that, like just like what you said, in Lemuria, everything is a council.
Mhm,
And so we're at the end of the age of the guru. You
mhm.
see, notice how we're also, and for those who don't think that we're heading there, I've got news for you. We are. We're coming to a place where we will no longer have a government because we will no longer give people authority over us that they can't handle or that their ego can't handle.
Mhm.
We're
'Cause they have
capable,
other agendas, right? They'll have it.
you think? Yeah. But we're capable of being able to be in a circle of equalness. And I want to use equality
They're
because
like King Arthur.
the word equality has been hijacked, but equalness. We are equal. And in a Lemurian council, the reason why you can come to consensus is because we're using awareness to get guided from the source as opposed to getting ideas from our mind. So that's where this quantum conversation, this ability to create. When I did the retreat in Sedona, I heard the angels say, "This is a prototype of what you're going to do," which means to create this sort of community property and Lemurian circle, Lemurian council,
The Lemurian Council is what I call it. Yeah.
yeah, type of circle where everyone comes in and contributes something, and everyone comes in and receives, and everyone comes in as equals. There is something to that, because we no longer need a person that's above us, nor do we need to be above anyone. And I've heard stories and stories of people who really have a good message and really have a good intent. And somehow or another, they get a big following, and then they get a big ego, and then they don't have the
Right.
talent,
Yeah.
gifts anymore. And
Yes, that's true.
and I know that this whole idea of creating these Lemurian circles, these Lemurian councils, are really all about actually keeping the ego in check, but really actually creating that upward momentum. But Cole mentioned it's time. So this concept of the quantum conversation that's been brewing up inside, it's like I'm suddenly given the green light that it's time, because there are humans now who are ready to enter into the quantum conversation. They're ready to enter into a Lemurian council type of circle with other people.
Yeah, yeah. And leave your ego at the door type of thing,
Which
right?
is easy to do in these situations because you're so filled with love.
Yeah.
And the minute that you're so filled with love, then you wouldn't even think to pick up that mask, that disguise. You don't even need it at all. And that was the thing I remember from the dream of the retreats. The thing I vividly remember was feeling this overwhelming sense of love. And I went, oh, I got it. It's about the love. This is where the calibration happens. And even at this retreat we're doing, there are people there. There's one person who's been to every retreat who goes because of all of the love.
Mm,
It's such an activated portal. When we think about these codes that come through, we forget to mention this part. What you're going to feel when you're being activated, your heart is going to burst open in a way that feels so good and feels like the real you.
right.
But the love is on a whole nother scale and is so fantastic.
Yeah, I love the analogy. Whatever the question, the answer is love.
Yes.
I mean, it's so true. I mean, if we just go back to loving ourselves and loving others and being in that loving space and honoring everyone and letting go of the judgment. That's why it's like the heart and mind connection. Because you do want the mind, but you need the heart too. So it's the heart and mind working together to
Yeah.
to move forward, which I absolutely love. Seth, love having you here. Tell me how people can get in touch with you. Tell us the details about your retreat if people still want to sign up and everything else. So share, please.
Great. Yes. For the retreat, just reach out to me at Seth at quantumangelmagic.com. And you can also visit the site quantumangelmagic.com. There is I do have an abundance meditation that's angel channeled, and it is with the three magic words. It's a beautiful, potent meditation that you can download for free. And then that puts you on my email list where you can get to stay in touch with things that are going on. Eventually, the quantum conversation will also be up and running. So, depending on when you're listening to this, bookmark thequantumconversation.com, because the site will be up where we're going to create community. We're going to do reality experiments. We're going to create a show together and things like that. So wonderful to be here. And thank you for having me. And thank you for hosting this beautiful activation that's coming up. That's October 4th through the 9th, which is a Monday through Friday or Saturday. And Saturday is an optional activity where we're going to go on a little excursion, but Monday through Friday starting August 4th.
Yes, and a lot of the activities are going to be right here at Dolphin Touch, which we're
They
so
are.
excited about. And we're going to
Yes.
do Lemurian past life regression and the Dolphin Energetics in the
Yeah.
ocean.
Many things. Yes.
Many things, many things.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
and Seth is SEPH for those of you who are trying to reach out to him. And thank you again. It's been great. I look forward to seeing you and meeting you actually in person
Me too.
in August. And hui ho, everybody. Greetings and love and energy and vibration from Kauai with the dolphins, the Lemurians, the whales, and everything else. So
We hope.
we hope.